So, it's a 9 o'clock.
It is officially
9:29.
29.
Ooh, it's not 9 o'clock.
Synchronized watches.
Jenny, I think you are our prayer guy today.
And you're officially live.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My 15 minutes of fame.
Not dirty.
I will call this meeting of the Young County Commissioners Court to order. Let the record show it is 9:30 a.m. 4 members of the court are present. We're streaming live on our YouTube channel. If you are watching and you'd like to make a comment, feel free to call in on 940-221-2107. We know that that number actually works. If you're able, please stand for our invocation. Commissioner Jim Wiley has the honors.
Let's pray. Father, we come before you today, just want to say thank you, God, for another day. Father, we say thank you, Father, for this opportunity to serve in this position, Father. Father, we just ask today that you be with us in court, Father, that we go about the county's business. We ask, Father, for your hand in all that we say and all we do. Father, we ask you to give us wisdom and guidance and direction. Father, we just thank you for the rain you sent us, Father, this weekend. And Father, we just ask today, Father, that you be with those that's lost their loved ones. We just ask, Father, for your hand to be on them and give them the peace that only you can give. Father, we ask you to forgive us when we failed you. We ask all this in your precious name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Commissioner Wiley. All right, we'll move to item number 3, which starts with public comments. Is there anyone here for a public comment? We will move to this is really just an announcement that the Emergency Management Coordinator for Young County, CJ Sacedo, has resigned. I've appointed Chris Moody to that role to now be the Emergency Management Coordinator for Young County. There's a salary stipend that goes with that, and so I'm going to give Chris Moody his salary stipend. We've had an assistant EMC in the past, but I think we're going to drop that position right now. It's really just been the EMC handling those duties. So Chris Moody is now our Emergency Management Coordinator. The other announcement is that we received the hotel occupancy tax report in the amount of $3,419.58, and that's for February of 2024 from the Wildcatter Ranch Inn Resort. We'll move to item number 4, which is consider the county clerk minutes from the previous meeting, which was March 11th, 2024.
She made some corrections on item number 7, and with that, I'll make a motion to approve minutes. I'll second.
And are those need to be corrected on this?
She's making corrections on her.
Okay. All right. So Commissioner Wiley made a motion to approve the minutes with a change to item number 7. Commissioner Shook has seconded that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. We'll move to item number 5, consider the treasurer's financial report, updates on securities pledged, presented by Treasurer Kyle Mallon.
Okay, apologies to the court that we were behind on our treasurer's report and reconciliations, but unfortunately we've had difficulty. Bank balances were good, we're just trying to get our book balance to the correct figures, and we can't move forward until we've got each month done. So we're on September, very close to September, finishing that. Then it'll be all my mistakes after that.
Well, so you're saying no more mistakes?
Yeah, but I'm not saying, yeah. So anyway, but I have put in the packet, if you want to look those up, I put the reconcilement sheet, which is generally in the back of the back page of each reconcilement of the bank accounts. I put that in the front because I like to see the reconcilement balances first. Then all the detail is behind that. Also note that from Sierra Bank, our securities pledged to our deposits were well above the market value on those, and so we're good there. And so that's all I have.
Is Ann gonna continue to help you with this?
Do what?
Ann?
Yes, Ann and Cheryl have done the hard work of getting these reconcilements.
Ann has been here every day, and she and Kyle have been really tearing it up, working on this.
Cheryl and them have really been working on that diligently, and there's been some pins and needles that we're searching for and some of this stuff. Some errors were made, and then corrections in the error were errors. There were errors in the corrections, so you know.
There were bigger errors than we thought they were when we started this.
They weren't. I mean,
Not big dollars,
significant.
but just left a mess in her wake.
So
I found an uncashed check back in October 23 when I was doing the income tax.
Oh,
I didn't
did-
know if that started a problem.
No, not at all, because that'll come through.
That's just
We
an
haven't
outstanding.
even got there yet, so.
The county thanks you for not cashing your check.
We had voided it and rewritten it, it would have messed us up.
I will ask you to sign these and hand those back to Ian.
We got this one started already. So, I think this is,
No, we need this one.
oh, is that the original?
Original.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
Need these with the original signatures.
Perfect. All right, so do we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report for July and August of 2023?
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wiley and a second from Commissioner Rogers. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. We're gonna have to sign them again, Jimmy. The other thing is discuss and consider accepting a donation to the Young County Sheriff's Office from John Garvey for $750, and that's for cemetery maintenance on which cemetery? Farmer Cemetery. And he was kind enough to contribute so that we can do mowing and edging and make it look nice. We have a motion from Commissioner Shook. Do we have a second? Second from Commissioner Rogers. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Item number 6, consider an auditor's budget amendment, vouchers payable, presented by Auditor Cheryl Roberts.
Always have vouchers. And the biggest thing in today's vouchers is we paid the property, you know, I told you last year that the property insurance and the liability insurance were going up. I don't know how much it is over last year, a few thousand, but it was 76,520. You know, we put all that into the non-department budget, so I don't have to go out each group.
So I know we budgeted a considerable increase. How much more is it than what we actually budgeted?
Well, I don't know, because there's the other insurance coming out to the auto and the liability
Okay.
and that. So far, we're all right.
Okay.
think we owe, we're gonna be pretty good. I say that now, maybe a liar. But the total of the vouchers today is $180,851.57. And out of the general fund is $164,859.74. So almost half of it was that $70,000.
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wiley. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Shook. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Item number 7, discuss and consider the employee bonds. Chelsea Moore, Chief Clerk, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1, for $5,000. That's it.
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Rogers. Do we have a second? Second from Commissioner Shook. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. All right, this is gonna be a fun one. Discuss and consider the new branding for Discover Young County and discuss ways to better promote Young County. Kathy Partridge from the Chamber is here to discuss, and Amanda.
And Amanda Delaney from Visit Green.
Ooh, I like that.
Got a packet for you. I'll forward one for Stacy.
I really like the brand and I like the logo.
So what we've been doing in the Visit Graham office is considering the fact that the more we can lift the whole county, the better it is for everyone. And we felt like we at least had the manpower and the finances to get something going. And we hired Pecos McCool to do a branding packet for us of Discover Young County. There's logos, there are icons, there are a lot of different things. This has been approved by the Visit Graham board, and we love it too. We wanted to present this to you, but then to come to you and say, help us move forward. You guys, being the county commissioners, represent the whole county. Who in your district, in your precinct, would you identify as someone that we could work with to help push this out there? To maybe start a committee, don't we love those? Something, we have met with Tom and Olney,
Okay.
and that's about as far as we've gotten. We don't have the traction that you have, so we need your help.
So Tom Parker would be a great one.
Yes.
Jim at Fort Belknap would be a good one on there.
Of course.
Um,
Yes.
Who's a good Newcastle person to reach out to?
Get the city mayor.
So, I don't think he's running yet. I think he's done. Yeah, I think Onzi's done.
You know,
He's a good guy. We're gonna miss him. All right, we're gonna probably need to think about
Think on
this,
it,
but
that we're here just to open the door to our next steps. We don't have the, influence that you have throughout the county, but we want to push this out to provide these resources to people and to be able to promote events that are happening countywide with our social media and our push, because we do have a bigger push, and to work together. So that's what we're here for, to introduce you to this and to say we need your help moving forward.
I love the visuals. I mean, those are really neat.
Good.
Huh?
Pegasus.
Oh, Pecos did this?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Somebody living here, growing up here, knew how to best capture that in an image,
Uh-huh.
no doubt.
Yeah, I think that's really neat.
so y'all, this here, did y'all pick on the first page, because there's every one of them marked the check, X and check, except this one.
Yeah, so those are the 3 different versions of the logo, and it's just showing you how it looks on the different backgrounds, like on a lighter background, you would use a
Right.
darker logo.
All of this is approved, for depending upon what we're using it for, what we need it for, what
Mhm.
color.
that's just a visual representation of how we're not allowed to tweak the logo.
I think that's great.
That's it.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, no, I actually, I love it. I think that looks so good. All right, so we'll work on some people
Yes,
to
please,
point your way,
yes.
but the exciting thing is they're kind of gearing up to promote, you know, all of Young County and,
So we're gonna get something to paint this mural on that ditch entrance coming in the Young County?
Hey, there's an idea.
You know,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you know, we advertise, Visit Graham and things like Texas Monthly or Texas, the events things, and Texas Highways, and be able to start doing Discover Young County and hear things that are going on throughout the county. We can do that with the tax dollars, the income we get from you guys, not only at the fort, but other things.
Mhm.
So we're not looking for money, we're looking for people and ideas and buy-in, more than income.
Okay, I'll see if there's some more Alney people too,
Yeah.
so we need.
Is there a number on that committee, like, no set number?
at least 5%.
Yes, odd number is good.
All right, put that on my to-do list.
Great.
Awesome, thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate
you
it.
bet.
All right, item number 9, discuss and consider information regarding the leasing program at American National Leasing Company. We have Eric Reed and Bob Elmore here today. Welcome.
Good morning. How are y'all this morning?
Good.
Good deal.
Thank you very much.
You betcha. Thank you. You bet so. We hadn't officially met, we've emailed a few times, but I'm Eric Reed, this is Bob Elmore, American National Leasing Company out of Wichita Falls. So obviously Mike Cuba was here for 18 years, and he retired at the end of the year. And so we're kind of going around and introducing ourselves to the counties that we already have business in, and then also, you know, we're really looking to grow this thing. And so just kind of a brief history. Our leasing company is of course tied to American National Bank and Trust in Wichita Falls, who's now got branches, of course, in the Metroplex, West Texas, and a trust function all the way down to Houston. So as a whole, the enterprise is really growing, and we're wanting to continue that. The leasing company started in 2000, so 24 years now, and not only do, of course, with Stacy, we've got a couple of Mack trucks on order, and I was looking, those look to be here in May and August, is the last update that I got, and I think you were on those emails, Stacy. So, but not only the equipment side, the law enforcement side, whether it's the vehicles, radar systems, camera systems. Lately we've had, even on the, of course, motor graders, but then even pull behind graders, all kinds of different equipment. But the opportunities are endless. And so what we've kind of been telling everybody is if you ever do have a question, if there's something we can help with, definitely let us know. You know, if you have something that you don't have in the budget that maybe we can get in there next year, of course, if we start something now, we don't pay for it for a year. And so that's always been a good option with a lot of the counties, that those are some things that we can do. So these brochures just kind of show you a little bit of what we do. School districts we work with on, you know, their school buses, their Suburbans, those, any kind of fleet things that way. We just recently did an ambulance for a hospital district. And so a lot of different things that we can offer to help assist. Of course, interest rates are a little high right now, but we do think those will be going down in the near future, and we can always refinance as we go. So biggest thing is this morning, we just wanted to introduce ourselves to you guys, you know, get some information in your hands, let you know we're here to help if in any way possible, and then kind of update on what we already have with you guys and where it's at.
Who are some of the counties in our area that y'all are working with?
Most all of them. Archer County, of course, Young, Will Barker, we do a little bit with, Throckmorton. And then even on the city side too, a lot of the city PDs in those counties do business with us as well.
A lot of the agencies have started having drones. We've done quite a few of those also.
You got sheriff's department too.
Yeah, so whether it's city, county, yeah, we're doing a lot of different things. And then we've also got a rep in San Antonio, so he handles South Texas, I handle North Texas, got a ton of stuff in the Panhandle. So anywhere in Texas right now, we're looking to continue to grow, so.
You find a lot of sheriff's departments are leasing their vehicles?
We are, of course, Senate Bill 22 definitely has come in and played a role in some, but the way we do things, you know, with the upfits costing as much as they are and the vehicles costing as much as they are nowadays, sometimes they're using those to pay for the vehicles and then financing upfits. They might finance one or two and then get another 2 or 3 that they want to finance. One thing that does set us apart when it comes to, especially on the law enforcement side, is we work with vendors who do have a trade-in program. And so if you have vehicles, whether you know, some people want to take them and send them down to school resource officers, things like that, because they're already upfitted. But in the event that they just want to use that equity that they have built into their new deals, these people will bid those trades. They'll come and pick them up on site once you've got everything off of it. And that way you guys, or the sheriff doesn't have to decommission them. They don't have to mess with the auction. And it's a very fair price. And then they're turning around and going to these small agencies or these small security teams, and they're selling them that way. But it's just less headache, you know, on the sheriff's department or the police department. So we are seeing a lot of that too. But no doubt, as everybody knows, the price point of the vehicles has continued to get higher and higher and higher. And as long as they're selling cars, that's just going to be the new Ford, you know. So leasing has become more of a viable option as you're just financing the difference in the sales price and the residual. In y'all's case, a lot of times we're going to do $1 out, but leasing has become a very viable option. So
Interest rates gonna come down.
that's the way it looks. So far, I mean, the Fed has said they're still looking at 2 to 3 drops this year. And anytime we have an election year, I actually have a financial advisor background before I did this. And so anytime it seems like we have an election year, you're going to see things like that tend to happen. Somebody wants to hang their hat on that. So, yeah. But that, my card is stapled on there. If you have any questions, or there's anything we can help with, Bob can give you his. Like I say, we'd love a shot at anything that you guys need help with, or if you just have questions. And we've got referrals that we can send you as far as folks that we're doing business with, things like that. If you want to reach out to anybody, we will be in a lot of the different shows, the sheriff shows, the commissioner shows, judges shows, things like that. So you'll be seeing our faces quite a bit.
All right, any questions? Thank you so much,
All right.
appreciate it.
Thank y'all for your time, appreciate it.
All right, we'll move to item number 10, which is discuss and consider purchasing medical pouches to supply to first responders in Young County, presented by Jared Cook with the Texas Division of Emergency Management. But I don't know who this dressed up handsome devil is. It's not Jared Cook.
Well, now, Sheriff, I couldn't find it. So I recently responded to a trauma call where 2 police officers were doing a very effective job of treating a victim with makeshift supplies. Seeing this reminded me of a quote from Dr. Nicholas Sin that said, "The fate of the wounded lies in the hands of the ones who apply the first dressing." First responders in Young County recognize that statement is as true now as it was then. I have collaborated with the Grand Regional Medical Center and Olney Hamilton Hospital and Harry Back Life team to provide the contents of the Stop the Bleed kits for the patrol and administrative vehicles for all 3 law enforcement agencies in the county. All officers will receive training on the usage of these kits before issuance. The kits will be uniform in their makeup and will be placed in the same location in each vehicle, so no matter who is in need and needs to access the kit, it will be easily found and the contents inside will be familiar to them. These kits will be a force multiplier for emergency medical services. With officers patrolling the streets 24/7, they are oftentimes first on scene and within minutes of an incident taking place. They will be able to provide life-saving interventions to victims, buying them precious time until advanced life support arrives via ambulance. This kit can be a huge impact in the life-saving capabilities of the citizens of Young County. With the above-mentioned entities providing the pouch contents, I am asking the court to consider purchasing the pouches to complete this project.
So this is kind of a neat partnership that Jared is proposing, in that the county would purchase these red bags, which they're about $10 a bag, and Olney Hospital will fill half of them, Graham Hospital will fill half of them, and then we'll get them to all the sheriff's deputies, Olney PD, Graham PD, you know.
Every administrative vehicle and take-home vehicle.
Yes.
Will have one.
And then they were gonna even put them in the courthouse, in the emergency stations that are in here, but, you know, they don't all have what they need.
What about the fire departments?
So right now, we have nothing for the fire departments. We have jump bags that they have, but we're trying to get them in the hands of the law enforcement because they're almost always there first. So, and seeing what I seen a month or so back, I mean, they did great with what they had, but the need is there to get an actual kit for them. Purchasing a kit that's already filled out, they're about $100 a kit. And, you know, talking with the hospitals, I can get these for essentially about $600 from each entity.
These kids have the, what did they call those when we went to that deal, them emergency tourniquets?
Yeah, tourniquets, they got,
So-
Stop bleeding.
Yeah, so what we're looking at putting in there is 2 tourniquets, 4 ABD pads, clean gauze, and then some Band-Aids. Essentially just something to buy time, and get that bleeding stopped until the ambulance can get there.
But you're looking for about $600
Yes,
from
sir.
us to purchase the bags.
Yes.
We're getting the light end of the deal, I think on this, and I think this is.
We've even talked about getting them for precinct
Precinct.
2 and 4 because it's a long ways from Liceville and Loving to, if you cut an artery and you're in a Liceville barn, you got a short amount of time to get to the emergency room.
What number is our emergency management?
405, I
There
believe.
should be plenty of money in that line to do it.
As far as tourniquets for the precincts, I have extras I can give you
406,
today
right there.
if you want.
Is it 406?
406 Civil Defense. Yeah. So we have $500 in there for supplies, $500 for fuel. So we have education and travel. So
Is there a miscellaneous line?
let's see a miscellaneous line. But
Well, would you have contingency?
Or I can move,
we're also gonna save a little money on the assistant AMC since I'm eliminating that position.
There's
I
enough
can
money
move
to get
100 up
around.
from education and a budget amendment into that
Mm.
supply line.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, would someone like to make a motion that we purchase these kits for the county?
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Commissioner Shook and a second from Commissioner Wiley. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
We're on. Thank
Jen, will
you.
you get me
I
some
appreciate
kind
you
of
thinking of that,
invoice or
Jared.
something?
Yes, sir.
Just some kind of invoice to pay out that shows.
Item number 11, discuss and consider a quote from Graham Custom Cabinets for the purchase and installation of 5 solar blinds paid out of courthouse maintenance for the county clerk's office, $4,770.40. And what in the world are you wanting to do?
They're trying to eliminate glare on our computer screens from the sunlight. Can't demonstrate that today because it's cloudy outside. District clerk has these blinds, and I believe some other places as well. She says it not only eliminates a lot of the glare on computer screens, but also helps with the heating and cooling, especially cooling in the summertime. Block out that sun.
How old do you estimate the blinds are in your, do you think they're vintage of these?
Yes.
Absolutely. They're all vintage.
They're vintage, yes.
That's original equipment there from 1932.
I can't believe you aren't happy with those. We
Well,
love living this
Like
one.
I was telling you the other day, on my computer screen, when I look into it, I see the window behind me glaring on my computer screen. And if I close the blinds, I see the window with the blinds closed. I just didn't see them.
She lives to darken her office is what she.
Yeah, it's definitely, you definitely do get a lot of glare in here, and then with their heating and cooling, you know, something that can maybe help when we're in those in-between days and we're still on heat. We can block some of that sun out. I don't think it's a bad thing.
I'll make a motion that we, let her go ahead and do that purchase.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Cheryl, we still have enough money left in courthouse maintenance for this?
I think so,
Is
yes.
Ann gonna break us?
Well, she might, but we'll live over it.
Okay. All right, just, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Ann, you could be happy for it.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a handout for this one. This is item number 12, discuss and consider a new line item in the budget for state mandated mental health leave presented by John Evans. All right, tell us about this, because I don't know much about this.
Well, Government Code Section 614.015 went into effect September 1st of last year. Requires that law enforcement agencies provide mental health leave to peace officers and full-time telecommunicators. We only employ full-time telecommunicators. The leave would only be in the event of a critical incident or following a critical incident. I have made a policy that allows for 3 days, 3 work days off. If they require or request more, they'll have to have that approved, and then that would start to draw from their, basically like FMLA.
So did you come up with 3 days, or is that what the statute says, or is that what you're finding is really the best practice across the state?
I went with 3 days because that's what we offer for bereavement. There's no hard or fast rule. I don't see in here that says how long it has to be.
Have you seen other counties issue put their policy together yet?
I have not.
Okay.
The only reason this really came up is because we did have a big critical incident, and one of my telecommunicators did have to have, I think he took a day and a half
Mhm.
after that incident. And then there was not a line item to pay him.
Well, here's what I see in number 9 there, in the back, where it says use of paid leave. It says the use accrued paid leave such as sick leave, vacation time, and continue receiving compensation. So you'd have to have some sick time occurred correctly, or use your vacation time.
Well, this would be for continuing
Yeah.
mental health leave, like we would do with FMLA.
Gotcha. So if they wanted a 4th day, they could take a sick day, they could take a
Right.
vacation
They
day.
would also have to have licensed mental health authority sign off on their return to
Mhm.
work if they take more than the 3 days that we offer.
And it also says that they have to write out a written request to the
Yes,
superior officer,
yes, sir.
requesting
Yes, sir.
it. So why can't we use the paid leave for the sick time for the first 3 days?
Let's see.
That's not the way it's written.
Yeah,
That's the way
it's-
it's written?
No, we have to provide them 3 days after the 3rd day if they don't have a release to come back.
Okay,
Then they can have to go into their sick time, vacation time. Now, we can't tell them they can't be off, they can still be off, but we have to do that, and it has to be a line item in the budget. I also have some stuff for the employee assistant program for them that does the mental health and everything. So,
so in other words,
But the state didn't define
We'll
3
give
days.
them 3 days anyway.
No, but they, it's the same as what we would give them for bereavements, was my understanding. Is that the way you understand?
Is that our, do we have a policy for
Yes.
that?
Yes, sir.
Who's defining the definition critical incident?
It is defined in
It
the.
is defined in the statute.
The statute or
What they did for the government code in that section.
Government code, on D, it says, to experience a traumatic event in the scope of that employment. A critical incident is defined in the sheriff's office standard operating procedure as an incident where an officer has to take a life or lose their life.
if that is defined and written down somewhere?
It's in the sheriff's office.
And I talked to several people while I was gone, and he's pretty much explaining it the way it needs to be done. He said we just have to put it, we're required to carry it in the budget now. It's how it is.
Well, I think the one thing, like with any policy, I think they put a lot of time and thought into putting this in. I don't really see a harm in giving it a try, and if we find that people are abusing the policy, we can always revisit the policy at a later date.
Okay, so this has gotta be passed and put in our handbook.
It is a requirement.
Then-
I will have to, yes.
And we need to update that handbook. Motion to update it.
All right, do we have a motion to accept the new policy for mental health leave for peace officers and telecommunicators? We have a motion from Commissioner Wiley. Do we have a second?
I'll say.
We have a second for Commissioner Rogers. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
So when we work on budget, we'll put a new line in there. I guess y'all determine how much money we need to do.
Yeah, we'll need to make an estimate of, we'll have years where there'll be 0,
Exactly.
and then we'll have years where we might have
Exactly.
something.
This is, it's as needed, and we may go for a good while and not need it.
Yeah,
And it's not something that they can say, oh, I'm stressed out, I need a mental health day.
Yeah.
It's only in the next.
Right.
And it's been an event happened prior to that.
Correct.
And then also that,
Like-
license, the person that does the counseling would have to tell, yeah, he is qualified because of this and this.
It has to be associated and tied with a particular event.
Incident.
so let me ask you a question. So we had the incident about a month ago with 2 Graham police officers that were involved. Obviously, several sheriff deputies responded to that. Obviously, dispatch was a part of that. Would obviously be a case for dispatch, but would it be also a case for the sheriff deputies that responded to the scene that weren't really part of the original incident?
That's where there's gonna have to be some cleanup. It's kinda like some of the other stuff they write.
Mhm.
They're gonna go back and address some of those issues like that. Because more times than not, there's gonna be several people at a particular incident. So it'd be hard to have your whole staff off.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
So,
totally.
And they're trying to say to the person that it has done this, that it's straightly affecting
Mhm.
the one behind the gun or the whatever,
Right.
because
Because
their whole job's stressful.
true, and then some of these, you're gonna have everybody in the department responding to
Exactly.
an
Exactly.
incident. So-
So they're looking at more weight, the understanding that was explained to me, the person behind the trigger, or the person that happened to, the direct. Now, that's the way it's kind of,
Hey, do y'all have 2 on dispatch 24/7?
No, sir, not 24/7. We try to have 2 in there as often as possible.
What's that definition?
We haven't worked.
Saturday nights, Friday nights?
Peak time.
We haven't worked currently. We have 8 So if one of them has to have the leave, and it would be the one that is directly involved, that's taking the call, that's dispatching the call. So Travis Poteet was our dispatcher during that critical incident. He did take some time off. His backup did not. They were not so deeply affected by it. He's the one giving the.
That's kind of where the policy's gonna stand.
Right, right. Absolutely.
Because I can see in the situation here, it could affect the other people left behind, like she said. It could cause another problem, you know, so.
They can, but the dispatchers, they have rough calls frequently. But it would have to be that critical incident type situation.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's stay with the sheriff's department. Item number 13 is discuss and consider a plan to spend the Senate Bill 22 grant money awarded to the sheriff's office and the county attorney's office. So we have, just to recap, we have received our executed contracts from the state of Texas for these two grants. We have also received the funding. The money is in our account for these two grants. So the trick now is how do you spend it? The contract is considerably more restrictive than what everyone was originally told when this Senate Bill 22 grant came out. In your packet, Travis and I have worked on a plan for how he would like to spend his money. And it includes money for his raise to get into the minimum of $75,000. We would have salary stipends for his chief deputy, investigators, training coordinators, civil process, and deputies. And then everyone who works in the jail, and then a new sheriff's deputy position, and a new jailer position. There is some debate in the state as to if a chief deputy, investigator, civil processor, training coordinator can receive a salary stipend. We're gonna have to do some more work and research on it, but the contract says, it says you can increase the salary of a person described in paragraph 1, and then a deputy sheriff as defined by 34 TAC 16.300 subsection 4, who performs motor vehicle stops and a routine performance of their duties. So the question for the sheriff's department is every licensed peace officer in his department a deputy sheriff who performs motor vehicle stops in the routine performance of his duties? So that's what we're gonna have to figure out prior to implementing the plan as presented. Now, the nice thing about the sheriff's Senate Bill 22 grant is because we gave the sheriff the raise to get to the 75 already, all of our deputy sheriffs and all of our jailers meet the minimums. We are then allowed to create additional deputies or staff for the sheriff's office, so that's one thing he wants to do. And purchase vehicles, firearms, safety equipment for the sheriff's office. So, I mean, we're gonna be able to spend money. But this is how Sheriff Babcock would like to spend the money. And so it's really for informational purposes. I think we've got to do a little bit more research to make sure that the salary stipends will meet that, because one thing I don't think any of us want to do is distribute that money and then have to give it back. You know, we want to do it right. I don't have Chris Barron, our county attorney's plan in here, his is considerably more restrictive. He has two, they have, under authorized uses, there's only two items. There's to increase the salary of an assistant attorney, an investigator, or a victim assistance coordinator as defined by 34 TAC 16.300, employed in the prosecutor's office, or to hire additional staff for the prosecutor's office. We've already approved the one new full-time position. There's no questions about that. That qualifies under this grant. So that's gonna be, he got, what, 130? He got 175. So that we can use, we know we can use a portion of it for there. The other thing, he wants to give salary stipends in his office, so we've got to make sure that his staff meets, you know, they don't meet the assistant attorney, they don't meet investigators, so we've got to make sure we understand the victim assistance coordinator, make sure, hopefully one or both of them can qualify for that. So we're going to do some more research on that. He's not allowed to use the money for anything except for salary increases for those three positions or to hire additional staff. He's not going to use all his money. I just don't see any scenario where we're going to be able to, we will be giving some of that money back. But, so this item was to give y'all an update of where we are on that. And every time we learn something new about Senate Bill 22, it seems like the interpretation of the grant has changed. So it's definitely a work in process. But I'm hoping maybe next meeting we can come back and we can at least get the sheriff's grant money, start putting that to work. Does anyone have any comments or questions on Senate Bill 22?
Judge, one thing that may play a part in this is that any interest that is earned on the money is to be spent as well.
Okay.
Or returned. Should we put those funds in a separate account so we can monitor the interest?
I think that would be a smart thing to do. I didn't realize the interest was going to be a part of this. Have you seen that somewhere?
Just from threads,
Okay.
email threads from other treasurers. Some have said, yes, definitely the interest is to be accounted for and is to be spent or, be returned as well. So, and spent under the guidelines of SB 22, not that the county can receive that money.
Well, let's think that's a wise thing. All right, let's put that money over in a different account so we can track it.
I guess you're gonna put all three in different accounts.
Yeah. Well, we didn't get the constable. We didn't apply for it.
Well, does it go to apply to the county?
It will too. We need to put the county attorneys in their own account too.
Yeah.
Well, the district attorney, did we receive the district, where does that money go?
That I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure the district attorney's even received her money yet.
I haven't seen that.
It probably has to come to him.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll come in the form of a direct deposit or in the form of a check. I don't know what they put on their request as to where the funds are going to be deposited.
SB 22 can be used for vehicles.
Yes.
It would.
Yes.
I don't see any in there for the position forms.
You talking about for the sheriffs? It's in there. Oh, I'm sorry. So part of those are all salary stipends above the line, and then these are the two new. He wanted to put one new deputy and one new jailer. I put the 4. Originally, we were playing around with 4, but I forgot to change that. Huh? Yeah.
If these don't work out.
Sure, totally. We're talking about replacing the fleet or at least some of the fleet anyway, you know, we can use all that Senate Bill 22 money on that if you can't use stuff right there. There's a lot of options on the sheriff's side. I mean, we're gonna be able to spend the sheriff's money, one way or another, we're gonna get to spend it. It could be something we were already gonna spend, now we've just spent our Senate Bill 22 money. But, you know, the intent of it was always, I believe, to increase salaries, and unfortunately, everyone thought dispatch was gonna be a part of it, and they have been specifically excluded. Now, that's, every single county's complaining about that, and surely that will get changed at the next, time the the next session, but,
Some of the states recognize dispatch.
What about that dispatch radio we were
it's,
gonna replace?
it's just an oversight, I think.
Dispatch radio we were gonna replace, is that qualified?
We've already got it. We got it.
Okay, but
Yeah, September 30th, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So they can.
Oh, yeah, because even, well, yeah, no, we've already talked about that. Really, it's, you know, put in a, but we were looking at this for like going forward, you know, like for next year too. But yeah, for this year, that would be a 0.5 and a 0.5. So now he's gonna have, even doing this year, about $100,000, $90,000 to $100,000 that will need to be spent outside of this. Yeah, oh, totally. 100%. So we'll just have to keep working on that, but I wanted everyone to kind of know where it was right now. It's been hard because the rule, every time you talk to someone, the rules change.
The comptrollers is making rules, and they don't have any idea what, and they'll tell you up front, we don't know about this.
Yeah.
Just take this, I remember 13 on the table.
Well, Babcock is still sending Deputy Siskar over there quite a bit, and Newcastle's not reimbursing him for it, but he's choosing to do that.
We don't have an interlocal with
We have to
Newcastle,
overlay
either, that worries me.
Because of our insurance.
We tried, they came, you know, and they didn't chance.
They didn't want to pay for it, which every other school system pays, you know, reimburses for that, and they had no desire to pay for it. And they got the money. They should have a lot of money. All right, item number 14, discuss and consider requesting sealed bids for a new AC chiller system. Whose item was that?
Well, we talked about it last time when we looked at, we're needing the new,
Compressor.
it has one new one and there's 3 that aren't new and they're probably gonna go out. And so we looked at the price that we got for a new one, but in order to do it, we'll have to go out for bids. And two, I think we need to see, because this probably ain't gonna happen till next year. So, but it's something we need to get ordered, because I understand it's been taking a while to get those in.
I think though, that when we go out for bids on this deal, I think we need to request some kind of trade-in value for our current.
I talked to James Lane about that, and he said there's really not a lot of market out there for used stuff like that.
So why does he keep all them out there?
I don't know.
Part of the problem with that is too, they changed freons. All these ones we have now are obsolete. You can't, there's no use, there's no reuse on them.
Anyway, it's something we talk about it.
They
But I
just
mean, you're
redid
with.
it. They got away with the R22 and they went to another freon system.
We're getting a brand new compressor, so.
Yeah.
They probably, that's what I'm saying, it's probably the old R22. When you upgrade, they're gonna go all brand new, because you can't get that freon.
So on that deal, on that compressor we discussed last time, what was it, 22,000? I mean, We haven't told them to order
Hi,
that.
John.
We're gonna see what we were gonna do on this, so if we're going to replace the whole thing, the thing is, this one that's going down, we're just gonna keep getting those codes on it, they're gonna have to keep coming out, we're gonna have, resetting it and all that until,
I don't see how we can not put that fourth one in there, because in the heat of the summer, it takes all of it to work. 3 of them won't handle it so core.
well, so we've got one brand new one, this would make two
Two.
new ones, and then 2 old ones
Yeah.
that we still keep throwing,
But
but
it's
they're
not-
not, right now, they're not throwing the codes, so.
It's not just that compressor is the problem, it's also your circuit boards in there too.
So if we need to go ahead and get that in the works, because I did not tell them, I said, let me see what we're gonna do, because we're gonna go out and bids on the whole thing.
I'm saying just go out for bids on it, see what we come up with, go from there.
All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Wiley. Do we have a second? Second from Commissioner Rogers to request sealed bids for a new AC and chiller system. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Can we
4-0.
push that bid opening like till the last Commissioners Court of April? And that way it'll give some time to get to the companies and get it advertised.
It's good with me, good with you guys?
I think it's April
All right.
22nd, maybe, I don't remember what the date is.
Perfect. Let you handle that,
I
the
got it.
details.
I got it.
How about we take a 10-minute recess? That, one of our items I think is gonna take a little bit of time at the end. Well, we're gonna hunt that and get put in paper. We'll talk about it
Yeah,
next
can we
time.
do number 15 right quick, because
Oh.
I need to go put
Okay.
that to the newspaper.
Item number 15, 10 a.m., open sealed bids for a 2007 Chevrolet pickup truck. It did not get the newspaper, did not get it posted the
advertised
second
once,
time.
yeah, so.
And we didn't get any bids from that, so they're gonna run it again. So the request has been to, let it run again and, come back in another meeting to see if anyone made a bid on it.
Accept bids till the 5th at 4 o'clock and open on the 8th at 10 o'clock.
Scott, do we wanna do that, so we get no bid, do we wanna try to?
Well, it only ran in one paper
Good.
that was,
I think
Got good.
I think it just didn't get enough exposure. Let's take bids on it and see what it gets, and that, we can always reject them and run it through Renee Bates. That's always an option, and let's at least see if there's any interest locally.
Sound good?
It's just so rough, I don't know that it'd be a good
So
option.
we'll go with your plan, and then we'll take a 10-minute recess and
I'm
come
gonna go
back.
fix that bid right now.
Figured that put out on my table. No. I've been talking to them about that. I'm just go to the wall.
Holy moly.
Hey,
Well, you know.
not much. Okay, so I'm really, did you see that?
No, I have not.
Look at that. I'm really mad he's not here, but I'm definitely gonna find out why he put that out.
I don't know.
Do you see the bottom part that I'm talking about?
Something about follow the rule of safe and proper.
No, don't fall for empty promises on mental health grants and programs. They are, or eventually will be funded by tax dollars. My opponent's plans will lead to to using county funds, likely leading to higher taxes. My track record speaks volumes. Your vote to keep our community safe. I ask for your vote to keep our community safe.
Okay.
I'm a little annoyed that he sat at all those meetings talking about how he was so supportive of it, and then comes out with this. I didn't see it until after the election, but if I had, I definitely would have said something about it.
That's the first time I seen it.
Well, I'm definitely gonna put this in the paper. I'm really furious that he did that. Especially because now we want him to run that program. I don't trust him.
Well, that program, that's something that we had, we don't have an idea yet on what we're gonna do, and how we're gonna do it yet. But it is on tax dollar wise. We don't qualify for the grant.
No, I know we don't, but I mean, the fact is, we're trying to do something else, and all the entities voted to put tax dollars towards it.
Well, they would on the 10%.
Right, exactly.
But on this deal, that means they'd have to fund it all.
I don't see that, that's a distinction without a difference to me. I mean, ultimately, we are gonna have to spend some tax dollars on it for matching funds. So this is, I think that's kind of dishonest, to be honest with you. And he basically did it because it was Dan's idea.
I discuss it with him and see what he says.
No, I'm gonna discuss it with him too and find out
That's
exactly.
what I say, you can discuss it.
Oh, I thought you said you would.
You're still on that deal.
Just red and green. And then power buttons are in there.
Yeah, that's still hot.
Uh-oh.
And then just close.
Y'all were right in front of it too.
Oh,
So, I had to put your earphones on.
Yeah, well, some do.
Hey Janet, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
So I didn't quite understand what you were saying about the county attorney, that you won't be able to use the money because of what?
So the grant for the county attorney is very restricted. It's
Yes.
way more restricted than what they told us. And so we got the contract, and the contract stated you could only use that money for, pull it out, so I don't say it incorrectly. You may only use that money to increase the salary of an assistant attorney, we don't have one.
Right.
An investigator, we don't have one. Or a victim assistance coordinator. And then there's, as defined by a code, I'll have to look into that, employed at the prosecutor's office, or to hire additional staff for the office.
I mean, this is all, once again, for big cities.
Exactly. So, we don't have an assistant attorney, we don't have an investigator. Maybe one of them fills the role of a victim assistance coordinator. We'll have to see how that definition reads out. So hiring new staff, he hired one new full-time position, so that works, but he's probably not gonna get to use his money.
That is terrible. Once
And
again-
Travis's money is, a lot of people are debating whether or not a chief deputy is a deputy as defined by their definition. And an investigator, even though he's a licensed peace officer, he doesn't meet, they may or may not meet the definition. And so you're sitting there going, well, you can't give, it was all meant to give raises to all these people, but you can't give raises to your deputies that advanced up through the rank. You can only give it to kind of your staff deputies, or.
So are you, I mean, so that's set in stone? I mean, you were
Oh,
saying
yes.
that the other.
Yeah, we now have contracts.
So the county, I mean, so the other counties, though, the other little counties are saying.
They all have the same problem we have, yeah.
So I'm so unfamiliar with the whole grant process, but there's no way that it can get amended during the process if you come to them and say, hey, we
I don't
can't
think
use
so.
it. we can't
So
use it."
here's what happened.
Right.
So the the legislatures wanted to support law enforcement.
Right.
And so they wanted to have this, they wanted to make sure all sheriffs in the state of Texas made at least $75,000. And they wanted to give departments money to be able to give raises to all their deputies because they're struggling. And
To recruit,
then-
right, when you say struggling to recruit people.
yeah,
Yeah.
and to retain.
Right.
And to retain. And so then so they were working on this, and then someone says, well, what about all the constables? And then someone said, what about the county attorneys? So they got thrown in after the fact. They were never supposed to be part of this, but they got thrown into the bill. And so the legislature's like, okay, great, we passed it. We're gonna be able to give all these sheriff deputies and sheriffs raises across the state. Well, they turned it over to the comptroller and said, hey, you put out the rules, you administer this. Well, the comptroller has no idea what the spirit of the agreement is. They're just like, okay. And so the legislature thinks that they're pumping all this money into departments. And the comptroller's trying to be good stewards of the state money, and so they're making sure it's being very specifically spent on, it's just, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. And it's just turned out to where everyone's just like, there's several county judges that are just like, I wish I would have never applied for this.
Yeah.
It's just, this has become more trouble than it's worth. And some didn't do it because they go, I knew this was gonna happen, and they didn't even apply for it.
Well, the irony of it is that it's Springer's bill.
Yeah, that ain't the only one he messed up.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
has anybody talked to him about this?
He's done.
He's going out.
I know, but he's still there. I mean,
Yeah, do you think he's doing any of this?
no, but I mean, it would be worth it. I guess I'll just call him and try to have a conversation with him about it, like, hey, especially because all last year, all I heard about was, oh, look at all this money we've gotten. We're gonna help rural Texas. Well, it hasn't turned out that way at all. Everything got put in. What? Well, I mean, Spiller was the sponsor, or Springer was the sponsor.
He was charged to get it passed. It's not what it
Well, at the same time, there's gotta
Well, he
be some
took credit for
accountability
it.
somewhere.
did. First 31 bills are looked at, go.
Oh, really?
That's just our SB
Well,
So, it's a mess. We'll end up spending that money, it's just not how we probably wanted to spend it.
well, it's terrible that Chris isn't gonna get it. Or whoever, you know.
Yeah, Chris is really, he's justified, but he's upset because he, and I don't know why he wouldn't have, he'd already told everyone, hey, this is what I'm doing with it. So, the ladies in his office are expecting, this stipend. But when the rules first came out, it was staff. It wasn't defined staff in these generic, it was just staff.
Lieutenant Governor said it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, then,
But what does he know?
Huh?
What does he know?
Find out. Now, the problem is, now that there's actual contract, it's not what everyone else said it was gonna be.
so how much money more or less are you gonna have to give back, do you think?
Well,
Some from the county attorney.
we got,
District attorney, imagine.
District attorney's gonna have to give theirs back too?
well,
Depending on how
they've got more people and stuff. So it's $175,000 was the county attorney's thing, and he's got a new position that's gonna be $40-ish thousand a year, and then benefits on top of that, so maybe make it $50-ish thousand a year. So he might have to give back $125,000.
Oh my God.
Cause he didn't get another money himself.
Yeah, you can't give it to the elected officials. You can't, only elected official is the sheriff.
Sure, they don't want to get it.
All right, we ready to come back into session?
Yes.
It is 10:40. let's just call it 1040. All right, item number 16, discuss and consider application permit to cross county road to construct a pipeline or utility for McIntyre Road from Fort Belknap Water Supply Corporation. Commissioner Cresswell's item, does anyone know anything about it?
Yeah, he said that it's already been taken care of.
Yeah.
Everything's good, he said.
Well, this might be fun, just to reject it.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right, do we have a motion to grant this application permit? We have a motion for Commissioner Shipp. Do we have a second? Second for Commissioner Wiley. Y'all are too nice. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item number 17, discuss and consider the need to renew, reaffirm, and ratify Young County's tax abatement guidelines and criteria. Also, discuss the need to schedule a public hearing before acting. So let me tell you what's going on with that. Plug Power had a tax abatement with the county. Scott, you and I were not part of negotiating that deal, but they did not meet the deadline per the agreement for the plant, and they had a 1-year extension. So they executed that agreement. So now, the way that tax abatement reads, that they have to be substantially completed with their facility by some date this month with the extension. They are not going to meet that. So they have asked to amend that tax abatement. Well, when they asked that question, the first call I made was to Bob Bass. And so I started talking to Bob Bass, and he said, well, you guys had a tax abatement guideline and criteria that you guys created, which basically sets the rules for how someone applies for a tax abatement, what you're going to consider. Doesn't say that you have to accept it or not, but just what you're going to be looking at in terms of to grant it. And it must be renewed every 2 years. We've never renewed it. At least we've never renewed it since I've been on this court. So, so the first item is to talk about renewing, reaffirming, and ratifying that tax abatement guidelines and criteria. So in your packet, Bob and I have come up with a revised version. The only thing that's really changed are a few typos that we found in it. Everything else looked to be, I think everything else made sense, and neither one of us could think of anything to change. If we want to have a tax abatement, we're going to need to basically renew, reaffirm, and ratify it. And to do that, we would need a public hearing. We have tentatively kind of reserved April 8th as a date that we could have a public hearing. Bob has written the notice of a public hearing that we can put into the paper. We've kind of got it reserved to put it in the paper. Does anyone oppose to moving forward with that, having the public hearing to kind of renew our guidelines on a tax abatement policy?
Sounds good. This is just our criteria.
This has nothing to do with actually Plug Power itself.
Is that what it's stated? He's asking, is that what it's gonna state in the
Criteria, it's gonna continue to say 2 years.
It has to be-
With a 1-year extension.
What's the 1-year extension? You're confusing me on the extension.
So that's what we give them. I thought that's what the criteria said.
Well, the 2 years that I'm talking about is this policy has to be renewed by the court every 2 years.
Yeah, I know, but there should be criteria in there.
Right. You've got it there. Show me what you're talking about.
Okay. Plug Power that choice. It should
We
be-
gave Plug Power a 10-year tax abatement. And then basically, they told us when they were gonna have that plant completed, and y'all as a court gave them the option to extend it for 1 year if they couldn't meet that deadline. That's not in our policy. That was in your tax abatement that you negotiated with them.
Okay, that was in Plug Power Agreement.
That's in the Plug Power agreement, which we're not talking about that right now.
Okay.
We're just talking about this.
Yes.
Okay, shouldn't that be stated in this though, as a criteria?
No, if we did that, then that means that everyone
Would be exactly the same.
But if it's in the contract that we get with whatever company we go into the reinvestment zone criteria with, then that would be set aside apart for each individual.
All this is about is, okay, what are we trying to achieve with tax abatements? What's the policy for applying for a tax abatement? What are the things we're looking for in a tax abatement? That's all this thing is. And then, I think what you're talking about are the specifics of when we granted a tax abatement, this is everything we put in the agreement with them. So I think it's kind of a little bit of apples and oranges.
Paragraph 3 says we have to amend these policies and guidelines every 2 years. So that's all we're doing is this contract here. Plug Power is a whole different ball of wax.
And we're gonna talk about that next.
Right.
We're about to talk about the specific Plug Power agreement, and that's the next agenda.
This is number 9, construction in progress. If a qualified facility is not placed into service within 2 years after execution of the abatement agreement, a 1-year extension
Okay, what-
of the term of abatement.
What part are you in?
It's
You're-
number 9.
Now, there's a bunch of.
Construction in progress.
Yes. So that is in
Oh,
there.
okay.
Page 7.
Yeah, okay,
So
all right.
that needs to be in there.
It's- Nothing
So
is,
that's-
there was nothing in here that we thought should be changed.
Okay, that's fine.
But the question is, if y'all wanna change something, this is the time to change it.
Well, I believe their office drew this up.
Yes.
But we want to continue to set on that statement if 2 years or 1 year.
Well, it's an option that we choose to give or not give, so I don't see why it would be all right to leave it there.
Well, this is just a guideline. Somebody comes in and says we want a tax abatement. This is a guideline we use, but if they say we want 10 years, then we have to agree to that.
Well, we can do 10 years as a max, but we can do less. We had one, we did 7 years.
Okay.
One wind farm.
Is there anything you guys would like to change? Okay, here's something else. Bob is not available to come. If we want to have him here, he's not available until like summer. He's working on all these, he's got all these projects, he will not be able to come to any of our meetings.
I don't think we need him here. I think it's pretty well plain. It's not
I-
something we're changing.
Everything seems pretty cut and dry to me, but I'm also, I'm talking to him, so. Are we good moving forward with the public hearing on this?
Yes. April 8th.
Okay.
We have a bid opening at 10 o'clock that morning, it'll be 10:15.
Um,
I just sent that to the paper. So we're gonna do that.
we've already sent it at 10, but just,
We usually do
If it-
public hearings first thing.
yeah.
Okay,
Probably if nobody shows, it won't take long. anyway.
okay, that's fine.
10 o'clock.
All right, do we have a motion to move forward with the public hearing to renew, reaffirm, and ratify the tax abatement guideline and criteria?
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wiley, a second from Commissioner Rogers, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 4-0. All right, here's the interesting one. Item number 18, discuss and consider the status of Plug Power's progress towards constructing a green hydrogen plant in Young County and the status of their tax abatement agreement with Young County and the possible need to amend the agreement. Also discuss the need to schedule a public hearing before acting. So, as discussed, Plug Power is not gonna meet their requirement on having a constructed facility. They have received a loan from the government they have sold more stock, they have recapitalized their company. They are now moving forward with the electric line. They have built all the concrete bases for the towers needed to move the electricity from the wind farm to the plant. They're out, they've done all that dirt work, and with all the rain and everything, they've lost all that dirt work, so they've been out there redoing all their dirt work. They've re-established their plan with the city of Graham to move water from the wastewater plant, and they're building the pipeline to the plant, and they tell me they are committed to this project. So, here's the problem. Their tax abatement expires any day now. Because they exercised their 1 year, their 1 year extension, and they're not gonna have that plant done. So, I've been working with Bob Bass and Plug Power as to what possible amendment to the tax abatement could look like. If you look in your packet, I have put in there kind of what Bob and I have come up with. Let me tell you some of the highlights of the changes, or some of the changes are. So one, everywhere where agreement is in there, it's gonna now say amended agreement. On the very first page, item number B, the original item number B was deleted and replaced with a brand new item number B. And the reason that was done is the old agreement talked about megawatts and megahertz. It basically talked about electricity terms. And everything is done in tons, in hydrogen. So the only thing that really changed in that is we changed things from megahertz to tons per day. And then we added a paragraph afterwards that says, for the avoidance of doubt, any description of the project references to the project having a functional equivalent of electrical capacity of approximately 45 megawatts is incorrect, where where the amended agreement in any of the attachments makes this reference, the description of the project shall be revised to state that the project has a functional equivalent hydrogen capacity of approximately 45 tons per day. So that's changing it from megawatts to tons. And then if you go to section number, Article 1, the improvements, we deleted 1.2 in its entirety and replaced it with a 1.2 that said timings of improvements. Plug Project Holding Company LLC projects that the construction of the improvements will begin during the third quarter of 2022 and will be substantially completed on or before March 31st, 2026. If Plug Power Holding has not substantially completed the construction of the improvements by March 31st, 2026, the amended agreement shall terminate and no abatement will be granted, and neither party shall owe any obligation to the other hereafter. And everything else is just like it was before. So
They've come up with that date.
They did. That's what they said, that they'll be, they actually think that they'll be done in the fourth quarter of 25. But, so they came up with that date. But here's what I think is the best part of this agreement. If you go to tax abatement, Article 2, we took out 2.2 in its entirety, and we replaced it with the abatement period shall begin on the earlier of January 1, 2024, or January 1 of the calendar, and then it's just the rest of how it was before. But basically, what we've settled on is that the abatement started January 1 of 24, And if you'll remember, they made us a good faith payment of $294,000 in January. That is going to be payment number one of their pilot payment. And then we added a sub-paragraph that says, for the avoidance of doubt, the payment of $293,400 made in January of 2024 is now the first of 10 annual pilots for the project described in this document. The pilot will continue to be paid in January of each year for 10 consecutive years, and the abatement shall terminate with the 10th and the final pilot in January of 2033. So basically what I've told them is I didn't think the court would consider amending their agreement, that we needed to say, okay, let's go with what that original agreement said, which we were supposed to have gotten our first payment this year. They made a good faith payment for that. They're going to pay us again in January of next year. January of the following year, Plug may or may not have their plant up and running, but that'll be our third payment. So regardless of when they get the plant finished, this agreement will end 2 to 3 years earlier than what the original agreement would have done based off when the plant was constructed.
Which means the value of that plant will be working on what it would have been.
Theoretically, when we get this thing back, we'll have more of a tax base in there. I think it's a good deal for us in that it's accelerating this tax abatement.
Yes.
But those are really the main points in here, is that the good faith payment we're going to turn into pilot payment number one. In theory, our abatement will end within 7 or 8 years of that plant being actually in operation, so it'll end earlier. We're still encouraging them to build the plant. I know the Alney Hospital desperately wants that plant to be built for their new hospital that they're wanting to build. I know Newcastle desperately wants that plant to be built because they're planning on that for build, what they're going to build at the school. And I think the county could come out better. One, that we're helping those two entities keep this project moving forward, and then we're going to accelerate our payments and be done with this quicker. So that's kind of what Bob and I have been working on. Plug has seen this, kind of waiting on their comments on it. I've talked it. Their attorneys had come back on it, but their management team is all on board with it.
Bob thinks this is a good deal.
Bob thinks this is a good deal.
So if we start giving them abatement, there's no recourse on this if it's not completed by 26.
Well,
we just accepted the money.
Yeah, we're done. And we have the option. We got that one payment. We have the option to say, you didn't stand up to the terms of your agreement. We're not going to grant you an abatement. And they may or may not build the plant.
But if the plant was built, like the wind farm, and we started getting an abatement, and then that wind farm on year 3, they decided they're just going to shut it down. Our option is to go back to those last 3 years and charge them full value, liable, full taxable value. But this deal, we don't have any recourse on. All we're gonna accept is the $294 and part ways.
If they don't build the plant?
We're gonna get more out of this because the plant isn't built.
Well, the way the original deal
The
was written is they would not have made a payment to us at all till the plant had been built. And then they would make 10 pilot payments. We were able to negotiate that they make a good faith payment because they did exercise that extension.
Yeah, now we're going back and accepting that payment as starting
I don't understand the downside. What's the downside?
They shouldn't have more skin in the game than just $294,000 a year.
Well, they honestly
They have
didn't.
a penalty of some sort if it's not completed by 26.
think the penalty is the fact that they will have paid us 3 pilot payments before the plan was completed. Because the original agreement was that they didn't pay their first pilot payment until after they built the plan.
It's a $281 million plan. That's a drop in the bucket.
Okay, what do you want to negotiate then? If they don't build it, they're gonna be bankrupt, they're not gonna have anything that kills. I mean, that's, if they don't build it, it's that they're bankrupt.
Are they building another plant at the same time as this?
No, they just finished one in Georgia.
They're finishing up one right now.
But they're not building another one.
I think this is the next one.
This-
Did Bob say we need to do anything with reinvestment zone?
He has not brought that up.
Do we need to re-ratify it, or?
I don't know. I don't know if oh, here's the order creating the reinvestment zone.
Because it would go away if the abatement goes away. Their new purchase goes away too.
He didn't say anything about it. I don't see anything about it. So we did a reinvestment zone,
Yes, we have to do that before we can do the other one. That's the number one thing we have to do first.
but it doesn't state that it expires. There's attached order.
It just goes away with that on completion date.
Well, no, I imagine it continues to be a reinvestment zone as long as that's in business. But that has to be established before we ever do anything else.
Establish something, go to the
Creation. They determine that the application meets. Well, this reinvestment ties itself to our application guidelines and criteria and the tax abatement agreement between Plug Power. So as long as those documents are alive, this document's alive.
Okay,
So I don't think we have to do anything.
So if
about it.
we do this one, we'd have to take care of reinvestment zone two at the same time.
Yeah, I believe so. I'll ask him when I talk to him. So,
Well,
Has the city got any reimbursement?
yes.
yes, but
Yes.
they're staying current, but the city is way ahead as far as expending money versus what they're getting back. So they're somewhat financing it for them, but they've received all their payments.
And they're good ways down to on that.
Yeah.
And what they'll do with that, they have to stop at their plant. No, they can't go to the plant. They gotta stop at the fence on at the entrance. They can't carry it from there back because that's the way the law reads.
So then they have to build a pipeline there. That's where their meter's gonna
That's
be.
where their meter's gonna be, that's where everything has to go from that point on, they have to create it.
Basically, by 26, they're almost $1 million invested on a $2.8 million plan, so they're gonna have a third.
You're talking to us?
Yes.
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 Yeah, they're paying us basically $300,000 a year. And, before what we had agreed to is that we were gonna still get 10 pilot payments, but they were gonna get this 11th good faith payment. We've decided to try to make that our first pilot payment. With the thought being that it's a good deal for Young County in that we'll be out underneath that abatement in the 7th or 8th year of that plant being operating versus on year 11 of when the plant is operating, which is when we would come in at whatever a full market value would be.
I think it'd be a good idea. I'll make that motion, we go ahead and.
So just like just like the other, Bob has written up he's written up a notice of public hearing. He has tentatively scheduled it with the Graham leader to run on to run this for a meeting, a public hearing that would be held on May 13th.
So we need to put that public hearing on a different,
Yes.
and then we'll.
Yes, so we're gonna do on our guidelines will be April 8th. And then the new amended tax abatement agreement would be May 13th.
Okay.
So, that's how he thought it was the
Order to go.
the correct order, and he thought it was good to have a month in between.
Okay.
He came up with the dates. He didn't even ask me for input. All he asked for me was what dates we had meetings, and he picked the dates.
Okay. Good enough.
He won't be here for either one of them.
He can't be here for either one. That's a negative. We wanted him we were gonna have to push this into the summer.
Okay, so really all we need to do is from this point on, then, is just discuss second public hearing before we can act on those amended items.
We have to have a public hearing before we can do it. Did we take a vote on having a public hearing for this?
We haven't yet.
We haven't yet, okay.
But what I'm saying is, we just need to do whatever dates he's got for this, which would be April
Mhm.
8th, right?
Yes.
So.
He didn't say anything about having to have a second public hearing for each one, that we'd have to have one public hearing for the guidelines, and then one public hearing to amend the tax abatement agreement.
Yes.
So 2 hearings.
So this is for the guidelines right here.
The document here in our packet today is basically what's gonna be presented.
Yeah, that is the clean version.
Yes.
If you want to see the red lines, I have all the red lines, so it'd be easier to see what's been changed. But that's the clean version of what Bob has come up with for that document to read as.
You don't mind
Sure.
any sense
Yeah. I'll email
Sure.
it.
So we need to vote on amending.
Well, we need to vote on having a public hearing to consider an amended tax abatement agreement with Plug Power.
On April 8th, at 10 a.m.
On May.
No, May.
May 13th. Thank you. May 13th.
We got 17 first.
We already did that one. We voted on that one.
Already voted on that one.
Yeah. You seconded it.
You said you-
You seconded it and voted for it.
You seconded it. I voted and you seconded it.
Okay.
All right,
We
so,
had all these matched together.
No,
Okay, so, go ahead.
all right, so do we have a motion to hold a public hearing on May 13th
schedule public hearing, yes.
to schedule, to have a public hearing to consider and discuss a amended tax abatement agreement with Plug Power.
So moved.
Motion from Wiley, second from Shook, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Burn ban?
Okay, we're good.
All right, adjourn?
Adjourn, I think we're good.
Motion? Second? Unanimous. We're out. How are you doing?
I'm well, how are you
I'm
guys?
good.
Good.
You second team?
I'm second, yep. She's 18, that's right.
We brought in the real.
Real.
The
He's just the spool.
April 2nd.
Thanks, guys.
The,
So you know that public hearing is gonna be like an hour or two before the eclipse, right?
I figure the clips will look a lot better on TV than it will out in real life.
I saw the one in 2017.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Was it?
But we're not gonna get a 100% eclipse. It's gonna be like 96%.
My son is going to Plaza. It's supposed to be one of the it's on on the track.
Mhm.
So he's gonna get like the best look at it.
It's really neat when it happens. I was in St. Louis when we had the last one, and it was 100%. It's really weird because like, all the crickets start, it's like making night noises.
Really?
Yeah, it's there's like this period of complete silence, and then all of a sudden the crickets start going.
Huh.
The light is very weird. So
Once you
anyway.
stand there.
Change the colors of a lot of things.
Yeah, that's neat. Anyway,
Whether it's a copy or whatever.
okay, so,
Oh, for sure. Okay, I'll find one copy.
looks like I asked you about.
Look there.
No, so it's two different hearings. One is for,
One is just for our guidelines and policies on
executive, on what?
We have, I'll show you, we have,
Take it how to sign over is that.
So it sounds like they're doing a lot, like basically, I mean, this is not for the record or anything, but, and is that thing off yet?
no, it's on.
They have a,
Already embarrassed myself once
they have
today.
a, security guard out there all the time.
Oh, do they? Okay. Yeah, because I know that the last time I talked to either you or Alex about it, they hadn't done anything on the water line, but now they're.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah,
Halfway-
the water
halfway
line,
there.
they're live. Yeah, the city of Graham was in a real bind because they had a contract to build the water line, even though they were talking about bankruptcy.
Right.
But they didn't wanna, if they stopped building the water line, then Plug Power could blame them for this project falling apart because they didn't have their water line. So they just started building it, kind of hoping they weren't gonna get stuck. But, no, the first thing, so we have just a guideline and policy for tax abatements, like what we're looking
Oh,
for.
okay.
What's the process for applying for it, has an application in there.
So
It
this
has-
is just general.
That's
right?
just general.
Why are you guys saying that?
Because you have every 2 years.
Every 2 years required.
It has to be reviewed every 2 years.
Okay.
So we're just gonna review it, and then a month later, we're gonna amend our tax abatement agreement with Plug Power.
Do you think you're gonna change it at all?
The tax abatement with that?
Yeah.
Just some typos.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
nothing, Bob and I both read it, we couldn't find anything that, or anything that we changed.
Yeah, because, the hospital has had like a whole bunch, like a couple of meetings. They're going forward, with the thing.
But this has nothing to do with Plug Power, that's just our
Right.
policies in general. So in May, we're going to, what affects the hospital in a sense is, we're going to have a hearing on amending the tax abatement agreement with Plug Power.
Okay.
And in there, that's what we're talking about. What I've proposed to Plug Power, and Bob has helped me write, is that basically January was the first of the 10 pilot payments. So they're gonna start paying their pilot payments even though the plant hasn't been built.
Okay.
And so for us, we'll get full value on the plant at year 7 or 8 of it being built.
Okay,
So-
so yeah, my question actually is, since they did make that payment, and probably none of the terms are gonna change from what they were expecting, what the hospital was expecting, right?
Well, the hospital has no deal. They're just gonna tax it at full value. They didn't do a deal with it. I don't think they did.
I don't know.
I don't think they did. So the hospital will just tax it for whatever, they're gonna build it, the appraisal district will appraise it, and the hospital will get their tax value of that.
Okay,
They
so-
didn't do a deal.
Okay, so that's why they only sold 27 million in bonds.
So whereas we did a deal, so we're gonna get less money off the deal, but now we're gonna get some money up front. Whereas the hospital didn't do a deal, so they're dependent on them building it to get anything.
Okay, that makes sense then. So
But they'll
they-
get more money.
But they can't tax anything until it's done, or? Okay, so that could be 2026, because they were saying they can build the structure, they can actually build a new facility, but there's some other stuff they wanna build that will probably require that money, but they
Yeah.
decided not to sell those bonds.
Yeah,
But they- but
I don't
they
know
did-
anything about what they did on that.
Oh,
so
well, I
I'm not
can
really-
tell you, I went to the meetings last week, so, Yeah, and they had the guy from wherever, the bond seller guy, and he was explaining that, you know, they had sold it and they had 3 different investors that sold all bonds sold in one day.
That's good.
Just 3 investors, which was, I thought they were pretty pleased about it. So anyway, but it's a little scary because, you know, 33 million isn't a lot to build a hospital.
No.
And, you know, after that problem that we had with the water treatment plant.
And if Plug Power decides for whatever reason they're not gonna build this plant, and then all of a sudden, all things, they're gonna have to, you know, I assume they would come up with a plan for if it never got built, how they're gonna pay it
Yeah,
off.
no, I think that's what they said, is that the actual hospital can be replaced for the 27 million. They wanna, I think, build an outbuilding and some parking and stuff like that will require the Plug Power money, I think. That's what they're saying.
Well, I don't wanna do anything that'll put that in jeopardy.
Okay. And then the other thing that they were talking about at the city council meeting last week was that, I guess Dan Burbeck said that you and him, and I remember you discussing this at one of the other commissioners' board meetings, that you guys were talking about the sub courthouse there, because another chunk of the facade fell off.
Well, I need to call Rue. Rue and I were talking about the idea of getting some FEMA money to build a facility that could be our JP Corps, tax assessor collector, and a new police station for Alney. And then it could also be a storm shelter. And that got shot down, that you can't have multiple taxing entities. It has to be one taxing entity. So either Young County would have to do the whole thing.
And then we would pay
Or,
rent.
yeah, or Alney would do the whole thing. And I haven't talked to Rose since I found that out. So that's kind of.
Does that seem viable after what you found out, or would that just be a disaster, like an
I don't
administrative
know,
disaster?
it becomes really hard because, you know, I don't think you want the county building Alney's police station.
Yeah.
You know, Alney needs to own their police station.
Right, and y'all are paying rent now,
Yeah.
so why wouldn't?
So
you
Alney could move forward with it, and then we could rent a JP1 tax assessor collector. I think that would be great. I don't feel responsible. I don't feel like we should be responsible for having Alney's police station. You know,
Yeah.
that's just such an important building that I didn't feel comfortable with it. I just haven't communicated with Rue that I got that bad news. Because originally I thought we would go in as partners
Right.
and we would do it. But that plan wasn't working. So they talked about it at city council?
They didn't say anything about FEMA, they didn't know about
Yeah.
that, but they did say that, you know, they're trying to figure out what to do about that, because there's chunks just keep falling off of it onto the
Well,
sidewalk, and they can't
I need
figure
to
out.
I'll call Rue after this.
Yeah, and also they need to
Are y'all
replace,
still?
We're done, yeah.
they need to